Welcome back to the Explanation Pro. Today I'll recap a war drama film based on true events called Blizzard of Souls. Spoilers incoming. During the second year of World War I in 1915, a courageous band of Latvian riflemen made their stand against a fierce blockade of German troops in a dim-lit forest at night. One of the soldiers, teenager Artūras Vanags, is having difficulty hiding from enemy fire as he crawls in the snow. He witnesses his comrades fall while some get badly injured. As the night sky is filled with heavy artillery shots, the field commander orders his men to keep fighting, hoping to boost their morale and make it through the onslaught. With one battle cry, the Latvian regiment charges in. That same year, the Germans have gone closer to the Latvian territory, but it is unknown where the front line of their assault is happening. Earlier in life, the 16-year-old Artūras and his brother, Edgars, are on board a train to the countryside to see their parents. Upon arriving, Artūras gets caressed on the head by his mother, who he has missed for a long time. While Edgars searches for their father, a group of German soldiers arrives, aiming to hunt down Russian spies. Artūras is asked to hurriedly hide under the bed as his mother entertains one of the soldiers in their house. After a clean sweep, the troops find two Russians hiding in the barn. Things escalate as the farm dog continually barks at the officers, irritating one of them enough to shoot it while accidentally shooting Artūras' mother in the process. Realizing their mistake, the German soldiers leave abruptly, as Artūras nervously walks outside with a shotgun despite being too late to protect his mother. He checks on her but fails to see any movement. Not too long after, a funeral is held in her honor. After the ceremony, his father, Vanags, buries all their possessions except his wife's ring, which Artūras keeps. He then kills all their cattle inside the barn before taking off in a horse cart to join Latvian refugees seeking to fight against the German army. A few days later, the Vanags family lined up with other civilians at the enlistment site for the National Latvian Riflemen battalions of the Imperial Russian Army. Though initially denied due to his age, Vanags vouches for him in front of the recruitment officer. He then requests his papers be shown to a commanding officer, who reviews them to find out the old man served as a decorated marksman in the army for 15 years, permitting him to enlist again as a special courtesy. Days pass, and Artūras is subjected to military training under his father's command. During an attack drill, the young soldier and his fellow recruit, Spilva, are caught making mischief, forcing the senior Vanags to punish them by standing on one leg while militarily holding their rifles. Weeks into training, Artūras' squad mates, Konrads and Mikkelsen, are fooling around during an exercise when a biplane appears, flying far away from their camp. Assuming it belongs to the German army, Sergeant Vanags orders everyone to take cover before a bomb is dropped at their location. With the threat of the enemy now evident, the regiment takes arms and dresses up in their new military uniforms. After a rousing speech from the commanding officer, Artūras and the squad are fully embraced into the Latvian army, as they are ordered to march while singing a chant. Sometime afterward, in the battlefield trenches, the squad awaits further instructions while they fool around and enjoy a good laugh. Suddenly, a loud booming sound rattles the area due to an explosion, and everyone assumes evasive maneuvers. After the brief bombing raid, the riflemen prepare their weapons and quietly step out of the trench to search for enemy troops in the thick fog. As they traverse the desolate fields, Artūras witnesses Spilva getting shot in the head and dying instantly. As the squad leaves the fallen soldier behind, they charge into German trenches and attack the occupants, who are blindsided by their appearance. During the scuffle, a nervous Artūras comes face to face with a young German soldier, who is visibly shaken, not knowing what to do. The young German soldier is stabbed in the back, allowing Artūras to finish him off with his bayonet, though he does this reluctantly since he has never killed anyone before. Another enemy soldier's gun then knocks him out. Moments later, Artūras wakes up in the trenches beside Mikkelsen's, who is holding up lewd pictures to arouse him. With the skirmish ended, the Latvian army secured a victory, despite the heavy losses and the injuries they sustained during battle. At night, they march out of the battlefield and return the rifles that belonged to fallen comrades. Later that night, after a supper of porridge, Artūras awakens from a nightmare as he calls out for his mother. He then notices that his squad mates are also experiencing difficulty sleeping, as they fidget in their beds while in a dream state. The following day, the entire squad rushes to the beach and bathes in the cold water. Later, the Latvian company commander visits the platoon and orders his men to remain reserved for the night, as there is no instruction to go into battle immediately. He then speaks to Arturs to greet him on his 17th birthday. As the night grows, the boy is taken by Edgars to a nearby town to celebrate. They visit two local girls in their house, bringing along a bottle of white wine to get drunk with them. While his brother fools around, one of the girls becomes enthused with Arturs in uniform and kisses him. The following day, as the squad holds out inside the trenches, enemy snipers shoot one of their spotters. Sergeant Van Aggs decides to bring Conrad's, Arturs, and Mikkelsen's to take them out. As they creep into the tall grass, they subdue one of the snipers, but Arturs hesitates to kill him. The enemy sniper fires his rifle just before Conrad's kills him, warning the others about the Latvians. Retreating back to the trenches, Arturs is shot in the neck, worrying Sergeant Van Aggs as he carries his son to safety. Sometime later, in a local hospital, the young soldier undergoes an operation to surgically dislodge the bullet from his neck, which narrowly missed one of his arteries. Days pass, and Arturs receives a note from his father, detailing his joy that he is alive despite what others claim. He tells him that throughout the weeks in battle, he killed 30 men with Conrad's help. As he continues reading the letter, Arturs is approached by volunteer nurse Marta, warning him to stop smoking around patients. She immediately enamors him as he blows out the smoke from his neck, though his behavior does not amuse her. A few more weeks pass as Arturs' neck injury slowly heals. After getting a visit from Edgars and Conrad's, he agrees to return to the battlefield to fulfill his duties. Before discharging, Marta returns his newly cleaned uniform. Suddenly, the hospital ward is filled with joyous accordion music as patients dance around with the nurses. Arturs uses this opportunity to make pleasantries with Marta and ask her to dance with him. As the summertime rolls in, Arturs is stationed on the front lines as a captive German soldier is punished by his troop by standing on the opposite side of the trench as bait. Surprisingly, no Latvian soldiers are willing to kill him since they are not executioners, though an agitated Mikkelsen's loudly goads at the German army. Much later, Arturs looks for his father, who is carefully positioned in a sniping spot in full camouflage. He uses this moment to teach his son a lesson in killing the enemy, but the passive Arturs refuses to pull the trigger. His father confides in him that he hopes his mother will forgive him for getting him involved in the war. Some time passes, and a gas attack occurs in the area, forcing the troops to wear protective masks. Many of the soldiers become ill because of the fumes, so Arturs and Edgars look for their father, who is on the other side, saving his horse. Moments later, the Latvian soldiers bunker down when the commander informs Arturs that his father did not return to the trenches. He hurriedly returns to the sniping spot and becomes horrified to discover his father's dead body alongside an enemy soldier he killed. Fueled by rage and disappointment, Arturs angrily strikes the dead enemy corpse with a box of supplies. A day passes, and Sergeant Van Aggs is buried with his rifle, with the permission of the Latvian commander, who orders a farewell gun salute. At Christmas in 1916, the Latvian army joined forces with the 12th Regiment of the Siberian Army, showing allegiance to the Russian Imperial Army. Some volunteers are tasked to liberate the city of Jelgava, including Arturs, though Edgars is surprised by his actions. He confronts his younger brother, fearing for his safety, so he joins the mission. Later that night, the volunteer unit invades enemy territory under harsh winter conditions. They slowly crawl toward the fencing and cut off the barbed wires while setting up a trigger bomb. As flares light up in the sky, the German defensive is alerted and starts shooting down on the Latvians, killing Petersens. Arturs ignites the fuse and triggers the explosion, which signals his squad to charge in and open fire. Eventually, they take over the German camp and celebrate their victory by serving a goose that Edgars and Arturs found in a cabin. In the middle of the revelry, Conrad's tearfully reads the letter from Petersen's mother. Suddenly, the Latvian commander informs the men to return to their initial position to take over the Siberian offensive. The following day, as the squad endures a snowstorm, Arturs sees many of his comrades die from the freezing cold temperature. As artillery fire continues, Edgars crawls to his younger brother to check up on him before positioning himself in another snowy dugout. Unfortunately, he gets caught in an explosive blast and dies. Arturs digs his brother's lifeless body out of the dirt, though it is too late to save him. Their commander orders the men to retreat into the woods while carrying the dead bodies of their fallen troops. Civilians soon appear and check the corpses for their loved ones. Feeling outraged, Konrads hassles a Siberian officer to explain the attack. He is given a leaflet detailing Vladimir Lenin's promise to liberate Russia from the Tsar and provide lands back to the countrymen. Meanwhile, Arturas reunites with the forlorn Marta while she tries to find her father among the bodies after not returning to her town. The young soldier then promises to write her if he finds anything about him. It is 1919, 3 years after the death of Edgars. Arturas had rejoined the revolution, writing to Marta about his war experiences, including when he suffered a leg injury. Returning home on board a train, he overhears a conversation between two old men. They express disappointment about the Latvian communists excluding themselves from the war, resulting in the Red Army's summary executions of anyone opposed to communism. Upon seeing Arturas in uniform, they get out of their seats, with one of the passengers insulting the young soldier before leaving. Another passenger offers his sincere gratitude for his service to the country as Arturas gives him the last of his rations. Arriving safely back in Latvian territory, the platoon clean themselves up, taking showers from the water provided by the train. The friendly Latvian commander welcomes Arturas back, checking up on his leg injury. Their conversation is cut short when the commander is given a sensitive document, which prompts him to order the unit to resume duties. Later in the afternoon, Arturas and his fellow soldiers are ordered to line up, acting as a firing squad to execute defectors to the Russian Communist Party. The young soldier notices that one of the men sentenced to die is his close friend, Mikelsons. The disillusioned soldier is fed up with the war and begins singing a Latvian song, showing pride in his country. As he gets gagged by an officer, Arturas' squad is ordered to shoot him, along with the other traitors to the cause, though no one is brave enough to execute the command. The Red Army official points his gun toward the squad as their Latvian commander pleads with his unit to pull the trigger or suffer the consequences. The firing squad obeys, except for Arturas, who hesitates while pointing his gun at Mikelsons. This leads the commander to kill his friend himself, resulting in Arturas' arrest. The young soldier resists, loudly insulting the Red Army, as he is dragged away to be locked in a prison. As night falls, Konrads frees Arturas from the railroad car, with the commander's help, to escape. The young soldier furiously punches the commander for shooting Mikelsons, but he reasons that it is necessary to do it to prevent the Red Army from executing their whole regiment. Moments later, Arturas and Konrads leave the Communist Army hoping to join the Latvian armed forces that are readying for battle in the town of Cēsis. While in an open field, a group of Red Army horsemen pursues the soldiers for their act of desertion. Fleeing deeper into the woods, Arturas is horrified when Konrads gets shot and killed. Now all alone to fend for himself, he rushes to find Marta, hoping she will help him hide from the Red Army. Fortunately, he spots the young girl tending to livestock as one of the farmhands. When questioned about the deserters, she denies everything before quietly calling out to Arturas and letting him follow her back to the village. On the way there, she cleans up his wounds and assists in burying Konrads. The pair embrace and kiss as old feelings start to unravel after years of being apart since his stay at the hospital. Once at the village, he gives her his mother's ring as a sign of his devotion to her, while also telling her he must return to aid his fellow soldiers in the National Armed Forces. Sometime later, Arturas enlists at a recruitment event in Cēsis, quickly getting the officer's attention since he has combat experience. A young boy looks at him, enthused by his rifle, so he lets him borrow it, much to the mother's disdain. He then realizes that most of the enlisted fighters are all underage. As his first assignment, he is instructed to take the young volunteers on his wing to defend a railway bridge from the advancing German army. Moments later, he and the boys are pinned down by a trench. They appear frightened at the Germans, having never experienced war with them before. Realizing the young soldiers need a leader to step up, Arturas takes it upon himself to show the proper techniques to eliminate the enemies, repeating the command's aim: shoot, down, reload. Though scared, they first grab their guns and try to follow him. Arturas proudly sees the younglings perform as intended, taking out German soldiers effectively, turning the tide in their favor. Unfortunately, he gives away his position and is shot by an enemy bullet. As Arturas sits down bleeding, he is reminded of the grueling winter day when he was alone, surrounded by his dead comrades. He repeats a prayer, offering it to his brothers and fathers of their country. Just then, more Latvian soldiers come closer to the front line as the heavy snow rains down. Artūrs readies his weapon and marches along with them. More than 1.2 million people lost their lives in Latvia during the events of World War I. However, after the Battle of Cēsis, volunteers from across the country joined the armed forces to take complete control of the country. In reality, the events played out in Artūr's life to reflect the author of the story, who survived the war and wrote down his memories of his experiences in a novel, Blizzard of Souls. Sadly, the author, Alexander Grins, was deported and shot after the Russian occupation of Latvia in World War II. His book was ultimately banned in the Soviet Union territories. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe my channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.